Ethan's boots clicked softly against the metallic floor as he stepped off the shuttle. He had trained for years for this moment, but nothing could have prepared him for what he saw. The royal palace of Princess Lyra stretched before him, towering and sleek, built of shimmering metal and glass that reflected the light of the nearby stars. Ships hovered silently above, their engines humming faintly, while robotic caretakers glided across the grounds, tending to plants that glowed faintly in the darkness. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy. Most civilizations saw them as primitive or unpredictable. Ethan had heard whispers of how alien diplomats were cautious, even wary, around human soldiers. Yet here he was, chosen to serve as the personal guard for the most powerful alien princess in the sector. He adjusted his gear nervously. His uniform was standard human issue, but the ceremonial emblem of Lyra's kingdom had been added to his chest. It felt heavy not just physically but with responsibility. One wrong step, one misjudgment, and it could cost him his life, or worse, the princess's. A soft, melodic voice interrupted his thoughts. "You must be Ethan," it said. He turned sharply. Standing before him was Princess Lyra, her presence both commanding and gentle. She was taller than most humans, with long silver hair that shimmered like starlight. Her eyes, a deep violet, seemed to see right through him. Even at first glance, there was a strange calmness about her, as if she already knew everything about him even before he arrived. Yes, Princess," Ethan stammered, bowing respectfully. He had practiced his greetings in advance, but none of that seemed adequate. Lyra's lips curved into a faint smile. "I chose you, Ethan, even before they sent you." Ethan froze. His mind raced. How could she possibly know him? How could anyone choose him before he was assigned to this post? Questions pressed at him, but he forced a respectful bow. "I am honored to serve you, Princess. I will do my duty to the best of my ability." Lyra stepped closer, her voice soft but firm. "I believe in you. That is all that matters for now." The words sent a strange shiver down his spine. She was not only powerful, she seemed to understand him in a way that no one else did. A robotic attendant approached and gestured for Ethan to follow. "Your quarters are prepared, Sir Ethan," it said in a monotone voice. The attendant led him through halls that glimmered with alien symbols and flowing light patterns. Every surface seemed alive, humming softly with energy. Ethan had to fight the urge to touch everything and examine it. He knew better than to disturb the palace's balance. As he entered his quarters, Ethan finally allowed himself a moment to breathe. The room was elegant yet functional. Walls of smooth metal reflected the soft glow of the ceiling, and a large view window showed the palace gardens below, filled with exotic plants and luminous waterfalls. He set down his pack and looked out at the stars beyond the city. Somehow, being this far from Earth felt less lonely. Somehow he felt expected. That evening, Ethan was escorted to the royal observation deck, a high platform that overlooked the palace grounds. Lyra was already there, standing with grace as she watched the setting suns of her planet. The skies were painted in orange, purple, and gold, streaked with clouds that seemed alive. "You see this, Ethan?" she asked without turning. "Our world has beauty, yes, but beauty can be fragile. There are those who would take it from us." Ethan nodded, sensing the weight behind her words. "I understand, Princess. I will protect it, and you, no matter what." Lyra finally turned, her gaze locking onto his. "I know, that is why I chose you." The words repeated in his mind like a strange echo. She chose him, but why? He had done nothing yet. He was just a soldier, trained to follow orders, not lead kingdoms. Before he could ask, a low alarm sounded throughout the palace. Red lights flashed along the corridors, casting eerie shadows. Ethan immediately moved to follow Lyra, instincts kicking in. "Do not panic," she said calmly. "It is only a test." Ethan's eyes widened. "A test?" "Yes, every guard must prove their loyalty and skill even before serving me fully. This is the way of my kingdom." She gestured toward a simulation chamber at the end of the platform. "Come, let us see what you're capable of." The chamber was unlike anything Ethan had trained with. Holographic enemies appeared, moving with incredible speed and precision. Ethan's reflexes were put to the test. He dodged energy blasts, deflected attacks, and strategically maneuvered through the virtual battlefield. Every decision mattered. Every second could mean failure. Lyra observed silently, her expression unreadable. Ethan felt the weight of her gaze, almost as if she could measure his soul with her eyes. He fought harder, pushing past fatigue, past fear, past doubt. Finally, the simulation ended. The holograms vanished, leaving the chamber quiet. Ethan stood panting, sweat dripping down his face. Lyra approached him, placing a hand lightly on his shoulder. "You are stronger than I expected, Ethan. Not because of your skill, but because of your determination." He swallowed hard, trying to find words. "Thank you, Princess. I only did what I was trained to do." Her smile was gentle now, almost human. "No, you did what many would not. That is why I chose you. I knew you would come, and I knew you would not falter." Ethan felt a strange sense of purpose he had never known before. He was not just a soldier. He was part of something larger than himself. Protecting this princess, this kingdom could change the course of an entire civilization. That night, Ethan could not sleep. He gazed out the window at the alien moons, wondering how a human like him could be destined for such a place. He remembered her words. "I chose you even before they sent you." The mystery of it both unsettled him and filled him with pride. Somehow he knew his journey had just begun. The next morning, Lyra invited him to walk through the palace gardens. Strange creatures with glowing feathers and translucent wings fluttered around them. Rivers of light flowed between the plants, and the air was rich with unfamiliar scents. "This world is fragile," Lyra said softly, watching a flock of small glowing birds soar into the sky. "Many have tried to take it, to control it, but only those who are brave and true can protect it." Ethan glanced at her, meeting her intense gaze. "Then I will be brave. I will be true." Lyra's lips curved into a proud smile. "Good. You are learning quickly. But courage alone is not enough. You must also understand our ways, our people, and the strength that comes from trust." Trust. Ethan thought about the words. She trusted him before he even arrived. That was unlike anything he had experienced before. He realized that his mission was not just to guard her body, but to become a partner in the survival of an entire civilization. As they walked, Ethan noticed subtle things: how the plants responded to Lyra's presence, how the creatures seemed drawn to her, and how the palace itself seemed to hum with life under her command. Everything about this world was connected to her, yet she relied on him to help protect it. Suddenly, a distant explosion shook the gardens. Ethan reacted immediately, moving in front of Lyra. "Stay behind me," he shouted, but Lyra's calm voice stopped him. "Ethan, look." She pointed toward a fleet of ships on the horizon, dark silhouettes against the rising suns. "They are coming." Ethan's heart pounded. He had trained for combat, for alien threats, for situations far worse than this. Yet the reality of it made him sharp, aware, ready. Lyra stood tall, her eyes fixed on the approaching fleet. "Do not fear. I chose you. You will help me face them. And together, we will protect everything we hold dear." Ethan nodded, gripping his weapon tightly. He no longer felt like an outsider. He was not just a human soldier in a strange alien world. He was part of something larger. And he understood for the first time why she had chosen him. Whatever awaited them, he would not fail. The morning light spilled into the palace gardens, casting long silver shadows across the glowing plants. Ethan followed Princess Lyra as she led him to a circular training hall that seemed to float above the palace grounds. The structure was made of translucent metal, allowing the rising suns to fill the room with a soft, ethereal glow. This was where the royal guards practiced, and today Ethan would begin his first full training session. "Before you can protect me, you must understand our ways," Lyra said calmly. Her eyes scanned him with quiet intensity, as if measuring not just his strength but his heart. "Our people fight differently. Our technology is unlike anything humans use. You must learn to combine skill with intuition and courage with strategy." Ethan nodded. He had trained for years on Earth, mastered countless weapons, and survived difficult combat scenarios. But he knew that fighting alongside humans was very different from fighting in a world where alien creatures, advanced energy weapons, and unpredictable technology existed. A soft hum filled the air, and holographic figures appeared around the hall. They were tall, armored warriors moving with impossible speed and precision. Ethan's pulse quickened. He had seen simulations before, but nothing like this. Lyra stepped forward. "These simulations will test your reflexes and judgment. You will face multiple scenarios, from combat to rescue operations. Do not underestimate them. Treat each as real." Ethan clenched his fists, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing on him. "I understand, Princess. I will do my best, the simulation began. Holographic enemies surged from all sides, firing energy blasts that sizzled past Ethan. He ducked, rolled, and countered with precise strikes. Some of the figures adapted quickly, forcing him to think faster than he ever had. Lyra observed silently, her posture calm and graceful. Ethan could feel her gaze like a quiet force pushing him to do more, be better. Every decision he made, every movement he executed seemed to matter more than usual. Minutes passed, though it felt like hours. Ethan's muscles burned and sweat streaked his face, but he refused to stop. Finally, the last hologram fell and the hall returned to quiet. Lyra approached him, placing a hand lightly on his shoulder. You are strong, but strength alone is not enough. You must also trust and be trusted. That is why I chose you, Ethan. You are capable of more than skill. You are capable of loyalty, judgment, and understanding. Ethan swallowed hard. I will not fail you, Princess. I promise. Her smile was gentle, almost human. I know you will not. That is why I already trust you more than you realize. The words unsettled him. He had never been trusted like this before. Not in training, not in battle. The feeling was both powerful and humbling. Over the next few days, Ethan's routine was intense. He trained with alien weapons that shifted shape in response to his touch. He learned to pilot drones that moved faster than his eyes could track. He studied alien combat techniques, blending agility, energy manipulation, and strategic thinking. But it wasn't just about fighting. Lyra taught him about her kingdom, its customs, and its history. She showed him holographic archives of her people's victories and defeats, explaining the reasons behind each choice and the cost of failure. Ethan was fascinated. Humans often underestimated aliens, assuming their ways were simple or purely technological. But Lyra's people were clever, disciplined, and wise. Their strength came not just from weapons, but from unity and intelligence. One afternoon, as they trained together, a sudden alarm blared throughout the palace. Red lights flashed along the hallways. Ethan immediately went to his battle stance, scanning for threats. It's not real, Lyra said calmly, stepping beside him. It is a test, designed to measure your reaction under pressure. Ethan lowered his weapon slightly, but his heart still raced. A test? He asked. Yes, Lyra said, her voice steady. Sometimes we must see how the chosen one responds to sudden danger. Guards who hesitate can cost lives. The simulation activated again, but this time it was different. The holograms were not just enemies, they were innocent civilians and palace staff, blending in with the attackers. Ethan realized immediately that the challenge was no longer just combat, but discernment. He had to protect the innocent while defending the princess. He moved swiftly, his training and instincts guiding him. He intercepted attacks, shielded holographic civilians, and strategized on the fly. Every decision required quick thinking and moral judgment. Lyra watched closely, her expression unreadable. But Ethan could sense approval in her calm demeanor. He fought not just with skill, but with purpose. He understood that protecting her world was about more than strength. It was about responsibility. When the simulation ended, Ethan stood panting, his body exhausted, but his mind sharp. Lyra approached him again, her eyes shining. You performed well, better than I expected. But remember, strength alone does not make a protector. It is courage, loyalty, and wisdom combined that defines one. That is why I chose you, Ethan. I knew you would rise to the challenge. Ethan nodded, a sense of pride and determination swelling inside him. He had survived his first true test, but more importantly, he had begun to earn her trust. Not just because she had chosen him, but because he had proven himself worthy. That evening, Lyra led him to the palace balcony, overlooking the city as it glittered under twin moons. Ethan, she said softly, do you know why I said I chose you even before they sent you? Ethan shook his head. I do not, Princess. I am honored, but I do not understand. Lyra's eyes were serious. Long before humans became known to my people, our ancestors recorded a prophecy. It spoke of one who would come from the stars, from a distant world, to aid our kingdom in its hour of greatest need. Many dismissed it as legend, but I studied it carefully, and when I learned of your arrival, I realized you were the one the prophecy spoke of. Ethan's jaw went slack. A prophecy? For me? Lyra nodded. Not because of who you are by birth, but because of your heart, your courage, and your choices. I did not need to meet you to know you would rise to this moment. That is why I chose you. Ethan struggled to find words. He had trained, prepared, and fought. But the idea that he was destined for this, chosen before even arriving, was overwhelming. I do not know what to say, Princess. Say nothing, she replied with a small smile. Only act and only be true to your purpose. That is enough. From that moment, Ethan felt a shift within himself. He was no longer just a soldier. He was a protector, a part of something far greater than he had ever imagined. He understood that Lyra's trust was not given lightly. It was a bond forged by destiny, strength, and honor. Days passed, and their bond continued to grow. Lyra shared small glimpses of her personal thoughts, fears, and hopes, something few in her kingdom ever experienced. Ethan learned that trust was not just about following orders, but about understanding, supporting, and sometimes challenging one another. One afternoon, while walking through the palace gardens, a soft breeze rustled the glowing plants. Lyra paused and looked at Ethan. You have adapted quickly, she said. Your human ways are different, but they are valuable. You see things in ways we often overlook. That is why you are essential to us. Ethan smiled faintly. I just want to help, Princess. I want to protect you and your people. Lyra's violet eyes softened. And you will. That is why I chose you, not because you are perfect, but because you have the heart to face what others cannot. That is rare, Ethan. Very rare. As the sun set, casting golden light over the alien city, Ethan felt a sense of purpose he had never known. His journey had only begun, but he was ready. Ready to learn, ready to fight, and ready to earn the trust of a world that had already chosen him. In the quiet moments that followed, he realized something important. It was not just Lyra who had chosen him. By accepting her trust and stepping into his role, he had chosen them all, her people, and the future of this alien civilization, and he would not fail. The skies above the palace darkened as the alien fleet appeared on the horizon. Ethan stood on the balcony, his hands gripping the railing, staring at the approaching ships. Unlike the training simulations, this was real. The enemy fleet was massive, their engines glowing like fiery stars as they moved in coordinated formation. Lyra joined him silently, her expression calm but resolute. They have come sooner than expected, she said. Her voice was steady, but Ethan could sense the tension beneath it. Our spies report that they intend to capture the palace and claim our technology. They believe that without our defenses, this world will fall easily. Ethan's jaw tightened. He had faced dangerous situations before, but this felt different. The enemy was organized, ruthless, and numerous. If they breached the palace, countless lives would be at risk. Yet he felt no fear, not now, not with Lyra at his side. I will protect you, he said firmly. No matter what happens, I won't let them reach you. Lyra nodded, placing a hand on his shoulder. I know you will. That is why I chose you. But you must also protect the palace, the people, and our allies. Courage alone will not be enough. Strategy, trust, and quick thinking are essential. Ethan followed her to the command center, a large circular room filled with glowing holograms, alien officers, and advanced displays tracking the approaching fleet. He immediately recognized the complexity of the situation. Every move they made had to be precise. One mistake could cost them everything. Ethan, take the defensive grid controls, Lyra instructed. Your human tactics may help us see weaknesses they do not expect. He nodded and studied the displays. The enemy fleet was well coordinated, but he noticed patterns. Unlike humans, they relied heavily on predictable energy pulses to coordinate their attacks. Ethan quickly began adjusting the palace defenses, diverting shields and setting traps in areas the enemy would likely target. Lyra watched him work, impressed by his adaptability. Your instincts are correct, she said softly. You see possibilities we overlook. That is why you are essential. Hours passed as they prepared. Every officer, every guard, and every drone was assigned a role. Ethan coordinated with them, blending human improvisation with alien precision. For the first time, he felt like he belonged, not just as a soldier, but as a leader. As the enemy fleet approached, smaller attack ships broke off and headed directly toward the palace. Ethan moved to the balcony with Lyra, scanning for any immediate threats. The first wave of energy blasts struck the outer shields, causing vibrations that rattled the floors. Brace yourself, Lyra said calmly, taking Ethan's hand for a brief moment before releasing it. We must act quickly. Ethan ducked and rolled, firing his energy rifle at incoming attackers. The hallways and balconies became a chaotic battlefield. He fought alongside alien soldiers, coordinating strikes and redirecting drones to intercept enemy fire. Every decision mattered. Every second counted. During the battle, Ethan noticed a breach in the palace perimeter. A small enemy squad had infiltrated the gardens, aiming directly for Lyra. Without hesitation, he sprinted toward them, dodging energy blasts and leaping over glowing plants. Lyra followed at a safe distance, observing as he engaged the intruders. He moved with precision, taking down enemies without hesitation but also protecting the surrounding gardens and innocent palace staff. After a tense struggle, Ethan neutralized the intruders. He turned to see Lyra standing silently, her eyes wide with admiration. "You are remarkable, Ethan," she said quietly. "Even the simulations could not have prepared you for this, but you faced it without fear." Ethan wiped sweat from his brow, breathing heavily. "I do not fight for myself, Princess. I fight for you, for your people. That is all that matters." Lyra nodded, a soft smile forming on her lips. "And that is why I chose you. You have the heart of a protector, stronger than any weapon. The enemy may have numbers, but they do not have you." As the battle raged outside, Ethan and Lyra moved to the command center, coordinating defenses and analyzing enemy movements. The enemy fleet tried multiple strategies, attempting to overwhelm the palace shields and disable their communication systems. Yet Ethan's improvisation and human tactics countered each move. He noticed patterns the alien officers had not considered, predicting enemy strikes and adjusting their defenses with precision. Hours turned into a full day of relentless combat. Ethan grew exhausted, but he refused to rest. Lyra frequently checked on him, offering words of encouragement and reassurance. She trusted him completely, and that trust gave him strength he did not know he possessed. During a brief pause in the battle, Ethan approached her. "Princess, how did you know I could handle this?" "How did you know I would rise to the challenge?" Lyra's gaze softened. "Because I did not need to see it to know it. Long before humans were known to my people, the prophecy spoke of one who would aid our kingdom when the need was greatest. I studied it carefully. When I learned of your arrival, I realized you were that one. Not because of your training alone, but because of your heart, your courage, and your choices. I knew you would act when it mattered most." Ethan felt a strange warmth in his chest. He had trained for years, faced countless enemies, and survived impossible situations. But to know that Lyra believed in him, that she had trusted him even before meeting him, filled him with a sense of purpose greater than any battle. The enemy fleet, sensing their strategies were failing, launched a concentrated strike aimed directly at the palace's central core. Ethan acted without hesitation, moving to the control panels and diverting all available power to the shields. He coordinated with the alien engineers, timing every adjustment perfectly. The strike hit the shield, but the palace held firm. Lyra appeared beside him, her eyes wide with relief. "Your timing. It saved us all." Ethan nodded, exhausted but determined. "We survived because we worked together. That is what matters." The battle continued into the night, with both sides suffering losses. Yet Ethan and Lyra's combined leadership and trust inspired the palace guards and citizens. Their determination became a beacon of hope. The enemy, seeing their efforts fail repeatedly, began to retreat, though Ethan knew this victory was only temporary. The threat was far from over. As the city recovered, Lyra stood with Ethan on the balcony once more, looking out at the retreating fleet. "You have proven yourself, Ethan," she said softly. "But our challenges are only beginning. There are others who will test us and more battles ahead. I chose you because I knew you would rise, and now you have confirmed it." Ethan felt a sense of accomplishment, but also a quiet resolve. He had faced his first true battle alongside the princess, and he had survived, not just because of skill, but because of trust, courage, and quick thinking. He realized that this was only the beginning of a long journey, one that would demand everything from him. But he was ready. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch gentle, yet firm. "Remember this, Ethan. Courage is important, but so is trust. Trust in me, trust in yourself, and trust in the bonds we share. That is how we will face the challenges ahead." Ethan nodded. "I understand, Princess. I will not fail you." As the night settled over the palace, Ethan watched the stars above, thinking about the battles yet to come. He had been chosen for a reason, and he had risen to the occasion. The bond between him and Lyra had grown stronger, forged through trials, strategy, and unwavering trust. Together, they would face whatever threats the galaxy sent their way. And he knew, deep in his heart, that with Lyra by his side, they could overcome anything. The twin suns rose over the palace, casting long golden beams across the city. Ethan stood on the balcony, his eyes scanning the horizon. The enemy fleet had returned, larger and more determined than before. This time they came with a single purpose: to capture Princess Lyra and claim her kingdom for themselves. Lyra joined him silently, her expression calm yet resolute. "They will not stop, Ethan," she said softly. "But neither will we." Ethan nodded, gripping his weapon tightly. "Then we will face them together. I will not let them reach you or your people." Lyra's violet eyes softened, showing a rare trace of emotion. "I never doubted you. That is why I chose you. Not because of your skill alone, but because of your heart." The palace command center was alive with activity. Alien officers barked orders. Holographic displays showed the positions of enemy ships, and energy shields hummed with power. Ethan coordinated the defense, blending human ingenuity with alien precision. Every move was calculated, every strike anticipated. As the enemy fleet approached, Ethan noticed a weak point in their formation. "Princess, their central wing is exposed," he said. "If we focus our energy cannons there, we can break their formation and force them to retreat." Lyra nodded. "Do it. Trust your instincts, Ethan." "I do." The energy cannons roared to life, firing beams of concentrated light that tore through the enemy formation. Explosions lit the sky as ships were destroyed or disabled. Ethan's strategy worked perfectly. The enemy struggled to regroup, giving the palace forces the advantage. But the battle was far from over. A squadron of enemy ships broke through the outer defenses, heading straight for the palace gardens. Ethan reacted instantly, calling for drones to intercept them while he prepared to engage personally. "Stay behind me," he shouted to Lyra, but she shook her head. "I trust you, Ethan, but you must also trust me. We face this together." They moved through the gardens, dodging laser fire and energy blasts. Ethan coordinated with alien guards, using his human tactics to anticipate enemy moves. Lyra used her command abilities to control palace defenses, directing shields and turrets with precision. Together they formed an unstoppable team. Ethan spotted an enemy ship about to target the main palace core. He sprinted forward, leaping onto the ship's hull, and used his energy rifle to disable its weapons. The alien crew followed him closely, but he outmaneuvered them, using agility and quick thinking to neutralize the threat. Lyra appeared beside him, her hands glowing with energy as she controlled the palace turrets remotely. "We are stronger together," she said. "Do not forget that, Ethan." The enemy, seeing their forces falter, launched a final desperate attack. Ethan and Lyra stood side by side, leading the palace defense. They fought with precision, courage, and unshakable trust. Every strike they made was coordinated, every move calculated. The battle reached its peak. Explosions shook the palace, debris flew through the air, and alarms blared throughout the corridors. Yet Ethan remained focused. He moved with purpose, defending Lyra and her people while finding ways to exploit the enemy's weaknesses. Finally, the enemy fleet began to retreat, battered and defeated. The palace shields remained intact, the city unharmed, and Princess Lyra safe. Ethan lowered his weapon, breathing heavily, feeling a mix of exhaustion and relief. Lyra approached him, her expression softening. "You have done it, Ethan. You saved us all. Not because of your strength alone, but because of your heart, your courage, and your unwavering trust." Ethan shook his head, still catching his breath. "I could not have done it without you, Princess. Your guidance, your trust, it gave me strength I did not know I had." She smiled, placing a hand on his shoulder. "And that is why I chose you. Not because of prophecy alone, but because of what you are. A protector, a leader, and a human who can bridge worlds." The city erupted in celebration. Citizens poured into the streets, cheering for their victory, and for the bravery of the princess and her human guard. Aliens of all kinds came forward, recognizing Ethan not just as a human, but as a hero. Lyra took Ethan's hand privately, away from the crowd. "You have earned more than respect, Ethan. You have earned trust, friendship, and a place among us. Humanity has always been underestimated in this galaxy, but you have proven our worth." Ethan looked at her, overwhelmed by the moment. I never expected this. I came here to guard you, to serve, but I never imagined—" He paused, searching for words. "I never imagined I would be part of something so important." Lyra's violet eyes shone with pride. "You are. And now, the galaxy will remember that humans are not to be underestimated. They will remember that courage, heart, and choice matter more than any technology or numbers." As the celebrations continued, Ethan reflected on his journey. He had arrived as a human soldier, unfamiliar with this alien world. He had faced training, tests, and real battles. He had been chosen before he even knew why, trusted before he even arrived, and he had risen to the challenges placed before him. Lyra led him to the palace gardens once more, where the glowing plants and luminous waterfalls bathed them in soft light. "Ethan," she said, her voice gentle, "do you understand now why I chose you?" Ethan nodded slowly. "Yes, Princess, I understand. You chose me not for what I was, but for what I could be. And together we made this world stronger." Lyra's smile was warm. "Exactly. And the bond we share, between human and alien, between protector and princess, it is more powerful than any weapon, more enduring than any fleet. That is the true strength of our alliance." Ethan felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had not only protected the princess and her people, but he had also proven that humans could rise to greatness even in the farthest reaches of the galaxy. He had become more than a guard. He had become a symbol of hope, courage, and unity. As night fell, the palace shimmered under the twin moons. Ethan stood beside Lyra, gazing at the stars. "Princess," he said softly, "what happens now?" Lyra looked out at the horizon, thoughtful. "Now we rebuild. We strengthen our defenses, form alliances, and prepare for whatever challenges come next. But most importantly, we celebrate what we have achieved together. You have shown that trust, courage, and heart can triumph even against overwhelming odds." Ethan smiled faintly, feeling the weight of her words. "I am ready, Princess. Whatever comes next, I will face it with you." Lyra placed her hand over his. "And I will face it with you, Ethan. You are no longer just a guard. You are part of this world, part of its future, and part of my life. Together we are stronger than anything that threatens us." The city continued to shine, filled with life and celebration. Citizens cheered. Aliens and humans alike marveled at the victory. And the palace stood tall, a symbol of resilience and unity. Ethan realized that this was only the beginning. Many challenges would come, but he was no longer alone. He had Lyra, her people, and a bond that could withstand anything. As he looked at her, he remembered the first words she had spoken to him. "I chose you even before they sent you." Now he understood fully. She had seen his potential, his courage, and his heart long before he had even arrived. And in return, he had chosen to stand by her side, to protect her and to help her people rise. The galaxy was vast, full of unknown dangers and challenges. But Ethan knew one thing for certain. Wherever the stars took them, he and Lyra would face it together. And together, they would triumph. With a final glance at the glittering horizon, Ethan felt a deep sense of pride, purpose, and belonging. He was no longer just a human soldier in an alien world. He was a hero, a protector, and a symbol of hope for both humanity and Lyra's civilization. And as the twin moons rose over the palace, casting silver light over the gardens, Ethan knew that this was only the beginning of a story that would be remembered across the stars.